Welcome to another episode of People Pod. I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine being submerged entirely underwater in this pitch black pool for like 2 minutes at a time.
Ugh, that just sounds terrifying.
Oh, it gets worse. You have heavy weights physically tied to your shoulders to keep you from floating to the surface.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, and you're not wearing goggles. You aren't wearing nose plugs. Your eyes are just wide open in this stinging water, and you're staring up toward a door frame suspended in the dark above you.
I mean, the physical sensation of that just sounds like torture. It's incredibly visceral, bordering on suffocating, really.
Right, and it doesn't end there. Now imagine enduring that agonizing process for 6 grueling hours.
Oh, wow. 6 hours of that.
6 hours. And this wasn't some extreme endurance sport or a hazing ritual. This was a young woman trying to get the perfect album cover.
That is wild.
Yeah, she put herself through what she literally called one of the most painful experiences of her life, just to capture a single, authentic, undoctored image of herself falling into dark water. But here's the crazy part of this story.
Okay, I'm listening.
That physical ordeal in the pool, it's nothing compared to the massive, almost unthinkable commercial risk she was about to take with the music itself.
Yeah, the contrast there is fascinating because, the modern music industry is fundamentally terrified of risk.
Totally.
We are talking about releasing an album in an era that is completely dominated by the TikTok feed, algorithmic Spotify playlists, and microscopic attention spans.
Yeah, the constant scrolling.
Exactly. The golden rule for any artist today is constant feeding. You drop a lead single, you tease a dance challenge, you drop a second single, you build a pre-save campaign for like 3 months.
Just to train the algorithm that people actually care.
Right, exactly.
And she looked at that entire playbook, literally threw it in the trash, and decided to drop the album cold.
Cold. No singles.
0 lead singles. Risking absolute commercial failure, risking alienating the algorithms that dictate global culture just to protect the integrity of her art.
Yeah.
We are, of course, talking about Billie Eilish and her highly anticipated 2024 third studio album, Hit Me Hard and Soft.
Such a huge moment.
And for you listening at home, I want to be really clear about our mission today. This isn't just a standard album review. Today, we are taking a deep dive into a cultural turning point. A moment that actively broke the ironclad rules of the modern streaming era, and somehow, against all odds, completely won. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, to really understand the gravity of this gamble, we have to look at the environment where this album was born, both, geographically and historically.
Okay, set the scene for us.
So Billie Eilish and her brother, Phineas O'Connell, recorded Hit Me Hard and Soft exactly where they have always recorded their music. In the basement of Phineas's home in Los Angeles.
I always find that detail just mind-blowing.
It really is.
Like, you're one of the biggest pop stars on the planet. You have limitless financial resources. You could book out Abbey Road or literally any multi-million-dollar studio in the world. And you're still down in a residential basement with your older brother.
Yeah, but that insulation is deliberate.
Right.
It creates this pressure cooker environment. And we have to remember the stakes here. They worked on it quietly, weekly, between October 2022 and February 2024.
Okay, so pretty long stretch.
Right. And if we look at the timeline, they were coming right off the heels of their sophomore album, Happier Than Ever, which topped the Billboard 200.
A huge success on its own.
Huge. But even more immediately, they were coming off a massive world-dominating cultural juggernaut from the 2023 Barbie movie.
Oh, right. What Was I Made For?
Exactly. That song won the Oscar for Best Original Song and the Grammys for Song of the Year.
So the spotlight is just blazing hot. The record label executives are likely sweating bullets, waiting to see how she capitalizes on that massive momentum.
Oh, without a doubt. And adding to that pressure is a deeply personal shift for her. She's stepping into newfound adulthood.
Right. She's not a teenager anymore.
Exactly. This isn't the teenage phenom of her debut. This is a pivotal coming-of-age record for someone navigating their early 20s, trying to figure out who they are under the microscope of global fame.
It's like returning to your childhood sandbox. But this time you're bringing adult architectural tools.
I love that analogy.
Right. Like you're trying to build something beautiful, but because the tools are sharper and heavier, it's slightly more dangerous. You can't just build a simple sandcastle anymore. You have to construct something that holds the weight of all these new, complex adult emotions.
And because she was building something so emotionally complex, it completely dictated her release strategy. In a streaming era built on cherry-picking, 15-second viral snippets, Eilish drew a hard line.
She said no.
She wouldn't let anyone hear a single note before the album dropped on May 17th, 2024.
I want to pause on the mechanics of that because it's vital. The modern algorithm works like a slot machine. The industry expects you to walk up, put in a penny, maybe a 15-second clip on TikTok.
Right.
You pull the lever, the algorithm rewards you with a playlist ad. You put in another penny a lead single, you pull the lever again.
It's all transactional.
Exactly. But Eilish walked up to that penny slot machine, shoved a solid gold bar into the coin slot, and just walked away.
Which is crazy.
The machine shouldn't know what to do with a 43-minute album dropped out of nowhere. It should jam. So why do it?
Well, she did it because of how she viewed the art itself. Eilish was remarkably firm on this, despite whatever anxieties her label might have had.
And they must have had a lot of them.
Oh, definitely. But she gave this fantastic quote to Rolling Stone where she compared the album to a family.
Okay.
She explained that she didn't like giving people things out of context. She explicitly said she didn't want, quote, one little kid in the middle of the room alone.
I love that so much. You wouldn't judge a whole family's dynamic by just meeting the rebellious middle child in a vacuum, right?
Exactly.
You need to see them all interacting in the living room together to actually understand them.
Yeah, the music was designed to be consumed as a single, uninterrupted ecosystem. But this raises an important question.
Which is?
In a high distraction world where listeners have a million other options on their phones, how do you convince them to sit down and listen to a 43-minute album completely cold without a catchy single to hook them first?
You do it through a masterclass in guerrilla marketing and psychological manipulation.
Yes. The build-up.
I'm talking about the build-up in April of 2024. Out of nowhere, these cryptic, anonymous billboards started popping up in major cities globally, Australia, the UK, the US.
So eerie.
Right. They didn't have her name, no release dates, just these haunting lyrics in blue text like, she's the headlights, I'm the deer, and did I cross the line?
And the only identifying mark was her signature blush symbol, you know, the little slanted stick figure she's used since 2016.
Oh.
It was essentially a dog whistle for her core fan base, and the internet went into absolute overdrive trying to decode it.
But the real masterpiece of this campaign, the thing that honestly should be taught in university marketing classes, was the Instagram stunt. Eilish utilized the close friends feature.
This was genius.
It really was. Now, for anyone unfamiliar, Instagram allows you to create a private list of followers. When you post a story just to them, they see a little green ring around your profile picture, signaling that this is exclusive, private content.
Usually just for your real-life friends.
Exactly. But Eilish took her 110 million followers and added every single one of them to her close friends list.
The mechanism at play there is pure neurological brilliance. It's a mass manipulation of parasocial relationships.
Completely.
When a fan wakes up, opens their phone, and sees that green circle, their brain instantly registers a dopamine hit of feeling chosen.
Like they're special.
Yes. For a split second, 110 million people felt a rush of exclusive intimacy. They felt like they were part of her inner circle.
And what did she actually post? No music. Just a lo-fi image of her hand, and later, a picture of her new midriff tattoo.
That's it.
But because she hijacked that feeling of digital intimacy, she generated so much hype that she bypassed the need for a lead single entirely. She essentially forced the world to hold its breath.
So she has the world's attention, but what happens when the audience finally hits play?
Right. They're expecting one thing.
And they encountered a sonic landscape vastly different from expectations. This album was a massive musical shift. It was largely categorized as an alternative and bedroom pop record, meaning it has that very intimate DIY close mic sound.
Sure.
But the influences are sprawling. It pulls from jazz, soft rock, folk electronic music, and they even brought in the Attacca Quartet for sweeping classical string arrangements.
Wow.
And in the latter half, it heavily leans into 1980s synth pop and hyperpop, which is a genre known for its abrasive, highly synthesized, exaggerated pop tropes.
Okay, let me stop you right there. I hear that list of genres jazz, classical strings, intimate bedroom pop, and chaotic hyperpop, and you're telling me they crammed all of that into just 10 tracks?
Yes. 10 tracks.
How does this album not just sound like a messy, chaotic Spotify playlist on shuffle? I mean, if you put all those ingredients in a blender, shouldn't it just taste like mud?
It's a very fair concern, but the reason it doesn't sound messy is the structural genius of the songwriting. The shifts don't just happen between tracks, they happen within them.
Oh, interesting.
It functions as a cohesive, episodic story. Alexis Petridis from The Guardian noted that the songs frequently change mood, tempo, and arrangement halfway through.
So they morph while you're listening.
Exactly. And from a neurological standpoint, when a song abruptly changes tempo, it disrupts your brain's predictive coding. It forces you to recalibrate, which mimics the messy, unpredictable nature of actual human emotion.
Like a musical panic attack or a sudden dizzying burst of euphoria.
Yes, perfectly said. And to anchor this sprawling, unpredictable sonic landscape, Eilish had to shatter her own vocal ceiling.
Because she's known for the whispering, right?
Exactly. For her entire career, she was largely defined by that signature layered whispering style. It's incredibly intimate, almost like ASMR.
Yeah.
And while she uses that beautifully on this record, tracks like The Greatest and Birds of a Feather feature her pushing her voice into this powerful upper register belting that we had simply never heard from her before.
It's almost jarring the first time you hear it. It's like she finally took the lid off a boiling pot and let the steam shriek out.
That's a great way to put it.
So we have the tension, the marketing, and the sonic evolution. Let's actually walk through the narrative arc of these songs.
Yeah.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the thematic range swings like a pendulum from incredibly tender to deeply sinister.
It's a vast psychological playground. It addresses body image, the suffocating pressures of fame, complex romantic disappointment, and explicit same-sex desire. Let's look at the second track, Lunch.
Oh, Lunch is an explosion of vibrancy. It's this playful, heavy synth rock track that uses food imagery as a direct metaphor for same-sex desire.
It's so bold.
It was a moment of explicit, confident songwriting where she is openly exploring lust and physical attraction. It's catchy, it's driving, and it completely subverts the moody expectation people might have brought into the album.
But then, Eilish immediately pulls the rug out from under you.
Of course she does.
You contrast the confidence of Lunch with a track like Wildflower. This is a slow-burning, folk-inspired ballad drenched in guilt. Eilish is singing about the emotional torment of dating a female friend's ex-boyfriend.
That's heavy.
And the way the music physically embodies that creeping guilt is masterful.
The acoustic start acts almost like an intrusive thought. It's small, quiet, just whispering in the back of your mind.
But then it builds. It swells to this crushing emotional climax in the bridge where she's belting out, "That crossed the line," over these massive crashing drums.
It gives you anxiety just listening to it.
The music physically swells the way anxiety swells in the chest during a full-blown panic attack.
And just when your heart rate is up from that, she drops you into the diner.
The diner is where things get macabre.
Definitely.
The production is minimalist but unsettling. It has this off-kilter, carnival-like, almost funhouse mirror sound.
It's super creepy.
But the lyrical brilliance is that Eilish completely flips the script. Instead of singing from her own perspective as a famous person dealing with the intrusion of stalkers, she takes on the persona of the stalker herself.
Oh, wow.
It's a dark, character-driven piece of storytelling that harks back to the creepy, under-the-bed themes of her very first album.
Gives you chills. But if we are talking about those mid-song tempo shifts you mentioned earlier, the ones that disrupt the brain's predictive coding, I think the song that exemplifies that best is L'Amour de Ma Vie.
Oh, without a doubt. L'Amour de Ma Vie starts out as a retro, disaffected, jazz-inflected breakup song. She's singing about moving on from a past relationship with this air of cool detachment. But physically, the song structure mirrors the psychology of a messy breakup. The jazz part is the numbness, the detachment.
But then it violently snaps.
It violently flips into an energetic 1980s synth-pop and hyper-pop dance section that they subtitled Over Now.
The shift is insane.
Her vocals are suddenly filtered through heavy auto-tune. The beat is racing at 140 beats per minute. What's fascinating here is how Eilish captures the manic overcompensation of a breakup.
Yeah, that phase where you force yourself to go out dancing to prove you're totally over it, even though you're dying inside.
Exactly. She balances themes of profound romantic disappointment and depression with vibrant, danceable production. She's crying on the dance floor and dragging the listener out there with her.
It's an absolute masterclass in sequencing. You go from lust to guilt to obsession to manic heartbreak, which begs the question. If she's dragging us through these violent emotional mood swings track after track, how does she keep the listener from just getting exhausted and turning it off before the end?
The answer is the grand finale, track 10, Blue. If the rest of the album is a messy emotional journey, Blue is the puzzle box that makes everything make sense. The structure of this closer is nothing short of architectural genius.
Blue is essentially a two-part melancholic epic. But its real brilliance is that it functions as an auditory memory loop.
Yes.
It literally reprises the entire album. As the song progresses, she embeds specific lyrical callbacks to almost every other track you've just listened to.
It heavily rewards the active listener.
Solely.
She sings "A Bird in a Cage," which points right back to the opening track, "Skinny." She drops the line "Birds of a Feather," referencing track 4.
It's so clever.
She sneaks in "Désolé mon amour," bringing us right back to the manic heartbreak of L'Amour de Ma Vie. And she references Chihiro with lines about opening up the door.
It's like finding Easter eggs in a movie. You know what it feels like. It feels exactly like the end credits of a beautifully directed film.
Oh, that's a perfect comparison.
You're sitting there in the dark theater, the music swells, and a montage of everything you just watched flashes before your eyes one last time. It ties every loose thematic thread together and hands it back to you. You feel completely full.
That is the exact intended effect. Thematically, Blue is reflecting on the inability to save a partner who is emotionally deprived.
Right.
She uses imagery of being born bluer than a butterfly and deprived of oxygen. By weaving all the previous lyrics into this final statement, she creates profound thematic closure. She realizes she can't change this person, and she ends the album with empathy rather than anger.
And it proved that her massive gamble, treating the album as a single cohesive family rather than a delivery mechanism for TikTok singles, actually worked.
It absolutely worked.
So let's talk about the aftermath. Let's look at the consequences and the legacy of Hit Me Hard and Soft, spanning from its release in 2024 through to where we are now in 2026. Because it was a bloodbath on the charts in the best way possible.
It was.
Although, we should acknowledge one tiny point of nuance. Hit Me Hard and Soft actually debuted at number 2 on the U.S. Billboard 200. It was technically blocked from the number 1 spot during its opening week.
Yes, it was blocked, but the chart position is almost a technicality when you look at the raw data.
Right. The numbers were huge.
Even debuting at number 2, it moved 339,000 album equivalent units in its first week. For those unfamiliar, an album equivalent unit is just industry math that translates a certain number of digital streams into one physical album sale to measure true popularity.
That makes sense.
That massive number marked Eilish's largest first-week units ever in the U.S. and her highest pure sales. It was a massive commercial triumph disguised as a silver medal on that specific week's chart.
And the songs themselves completely bypassed the need for label marketing. Birds of a Feather.
That song became an absolute global runaway hit organically.
Completely organic. Initially, what wasn't even pushed as the lead focus, but it rose up the charts because fans simply couldn't stop listening to it. It eventually peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and hit number 1 on the Global 200.
It was everywhere.
It actually surpassed Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso, which felt utterly inescapable that summer, to become Spotify's most streamed song in a calendar year for 2024.
Overtaking Espresso is an incredible feat given the absolute dominance of Sabrina Carpenter that year. And the critical accolades followed the commercial success lockstep.
Naturally.
At the 67th Annual Grammy Awards in 2025, the album and its songs pulled in 7 nominations. Wildflower, that agonizing, slow-burning ballad about guilt that we broke down earlier, won Song of the Year.
And that win put her in some incredibly rare historical company, right?
It did. That victory tied Billie Eilish and Phineas with absolute legends of the industry, people like Adele, Bruno Mars, and Paul Simon, for the most wins in the general field at the Grammys.
That's amazing.
The general field refers to the big 4 categories: album, record, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist. It's not genre restricted, it's the absolute top tier of the Recording Academy. Tying that record with 7 wins each, while still in their early 20s, is a staggering historical achievement.
And the momentum didn't stop. Let's look at the data from just a few months ago, March 2026. Hit Me Hard and Soft officially crossed 10 billion streams on Spotify.
10 billion.
10 billion. That made it the fastest album by a female artist to reach that mark in the platform's history.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it fundamentally altered how the industry views album rollouts in the modern era.
How so?
In 2026, Spotify officially listed Hit Me Hard and Soft as one of the 30 classic pop albums of the streaming era, and their reasoning was explicitly because of how it broke the rules.
I love that.
They noted that in an era built on shuffling and cherry-picking, Eilish pushed against the norm. She forced audiences to discover their own favorites organically, rather than being spoon-fed a lead single. She defied the algorithm, and in doing so, she won the algorithm.
She bet against the house, and she won. Which brings the story full circle, honestly. Think back to that grueling 6-hour underwater photo shoot we talked about at the beginning.
Oh yeah, the weights in the pool.
The freezing pitch black water, the heavy weights physically tied to her shoulders pulling her down, the sheer refusal to put on goggles so the shot would look authentic.
It's intense.
That photo wasn't just an album cover. It was the perfect, literal manifestation of the album's creation. Eilish immersed herself entirely. She carried the heavy weight of global expectations on her shoulders. She held her breath, kept her eyes wide open, and absolutely refused to compromise her vision for the sake of an easy, comfortable rollout.
She trusted her audience. She believed that if she presented them with a complex 43-minute unbroken piece of art, they would have the patience and the desire to dive into the deep water with her.
So what does this all mean for us? In a world constantly demanding bite-sized, 15-second, out-of-context content, Billie Eilish proved that audiences are still hungry for a full, uninterrupted meal. It makes you wonder, what are the other areas in our fast-paced lives where we are settling for the quick dopamine hit? Where else should we stop demanding the singles and start appreciating the whole album?
That's a great point.
Something to think about as you go through your week.
Thanks for listening to Teapot Pod. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.